It's a place like no other. A place that holds a lot of history. A place that some people view as being
amazing,
exciting,
incredible.
There's really no other place like it in the world.
a place where championships have been won, records broken, and memories made for a lifetime. It's called the world's most famous arena, but people know it strictly as
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden!
Madison Square Garden opened its doors on February 11, 1968. Since then, it's become a huge part of New York City history. It's the place where Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship in 1971. It's also where the great one Wayne Gretzky played his final game and retired from the NHL. It's the only venue in the world where all four members of the Beatles performed solely after the breakup of the band in 1970.
Madison Square Garden was actually quite a important place for me as I was growing up. I used to visit my cousins in New York City, and so, whenever I visited my cousins, one of the first things I asked was, what's going on at the Garden? Because I would always want to go see something at Madison Square. And my cousins and I would take the subway across to Manhattan from Brooklyn, because the Garden, that complex is, the Empire State Building is right there. It's, the lower part of Midtown Manhattan. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in that neighborhood. Madison Square, I can remember going to see ice shows or circuses or concerts, a lot of different things that they had at the Garden we would go see. My impressions of Madison Square Garden, it seemed very small on the outside. I mean, you look at it, it doesn't look big, but you get on the inside and the place is just immense. It's huge, and you wonder how they got so much space out of such a little place, but that's what people in New York, that's what people in Manhattan do. Sitting up in the upper deck to see the Rangers games, things like that, Rangers Bruins or Rangers Sabres always were great games.
In the early 70s to the late 80s, Madison Square Garden was the pinnacle for rock and roll. Performers like Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, the Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac, the Grateful Dead, Bob Seger, and so many others all played the Garden numerous times and left a legacy that would last a lifetime.
A lot of the acts like Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra that wouldn't play in my hometown, they would play the Garden, and we would go to see them. I remember going to see Led Zeppelin in 1973. The concerts that were filmed for The Song Remains the Same, I was at least one of those concerts.
In the early 90s, and I saw Eric Clapton with my sister. She lives in New York City, so I can go there pretty much anytime I want, and we went to see a concert, and I think that was really cool just because I know artists really want to play the Garden. It's like a real kudos to them to be able to play at Madison Square Garden. I like Eric Clapton. It was a more acoustic show, so it just was really amazing. My goal is to go to the Garden again to see some major concert.
It wasn't just rock acts that were performing at Madison Square Garden. Soon it would be comedians, who would not only be performing but selling out as well. Comics like Bill Cosby, Richard Pryor, Sam Kinison, and even Andrew Dice Clay, who in 1990 made history by becoming the first comic ever in history to sell out Madison Square Garden on 2 consecutive nights.
How are ya?
In 2006, history was made once again when Billy Joel set the record for most sold-out shows at the Garden, after he performed 12 straight sold-out concerts, breaking the previous record of 10 held by the one and only Bruce Springsteen. Madison Square Garden is currently the home of the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers. Despite the opening of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Madison Square Garden still hosts about 320 events each year and has the capacity to hold over 20,000 people, making it one of the biggest arenas in the United States.
Just take advantage of being able to go to New York City. It's really not that far away from us, and if you plan ahead of time, you'll be able to see something at the Garden that would make memories for you too.
Madison Square is just an amazing place, and I recommend everybody go there at least one time to see a concert or a game, Knicks game, Rangers game, whatever they can, because it's just an amazing, amazing place.
Madison Square Garden has had a huge impact, not just on the people of New York, but on every single person who has been there. It will always be known as the world's most famous arena and will hold a special place in the hearts of millions. It's something that will be talked about forever and will never be forgotten, because there is only one Madison Square Garden. On December 12, 2012, a benefit was held at Madison Square Garden to raise money for victims of Hurricane Sandy. The benefit included performances from Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Billy Joel, the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, and The Who. The benefit was a huge success and raised over $50 million. Just another example of history being made at Madison Square Garden.